Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today.
We're gonna get a little bit crazy, wild and maybe even vulgar, if you please. It's after dark and we're gonna light it up. We got some fun in store for you, no tease. It's time for Midnight's Edge. After dark, a little naughty, will hopefully make you chuckle, but we ain't trying to hurt nobody, so get ready quick on the double, cause it's time for Midnight's Edge. After dark.
Tonight, we got a new BeetleJuice trailer, a new Alien trailer. Cobra Kai is still alive. And what did we think about it? That and more. Welcome, one and all, everybody. It's time for Midnight's Edge, After Dark Live. I'm Tom Connors. I have with me Price of Reason. How you doing?
I'm good. How's it going?
Doing the best I can. We also have with us CC Karaoke coming in from Canada. How you doing?
Glad to be here. Doing all right. Same as usual.
Excellent. We may have some more people joining us as we move along here, but yes, indeed. I just want to say hello, everybody in the chat. We got Sabretooth Raptor sending in a $5 super chat right off the bat. Thank you for that. Says looking forward to Mexican Iron Man's actorial. Is that what he means? Debut in Three's Company style TV show. His love interest in the show will be Gracie Bond. Mexican Iron Man approved. I'm sure he would. And thank you for that, Sabretooth Raptor. We appreciate it. And yeah, that's what we got to kick things off today so far. So welcome and thank you, everybody in the chat. Hit that like button, share out the stream, let everybody know that we're live. And yeah, a little bit of sad news to kind of start off today. We got in the news today. We lost a legend, a comedian, 94 years old. So not exactly young, but hey, it's always sad when we lose somebody like this. Bob Newhart has passed away.
Especially it highlights how we don't have these type of talented people anymore a lot of times.
Yeah, very funny comedian, somebody who was a huge part of television, especially in, I'm sure, our youth here on the panel and you guys out there in the chat. Of course, in his later years, you may have seen him in things like Big Bang Theory, and he was in, of course, Elf, the ELF, not ALF, movie with Will Ferrell. So yeah, he will be missed. He was a funny guy.
He was also kind of influential in terms of like deadpan comedy style. He was always this kind of super serious, but there's all these really silly things happening around him, and that was kind of his thing.
Yeah, and he was also one of the voices in the Rescuer films. So,
true.
Yeah. Indeed. So yeah, we'll have to remember him by watching some of his classic shows or films. I know he's got one of the best best endings in television history. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but the Newhart
End of
show,
Newhart goes back
where
to
it
this
made the
previous
wink,
show.
wink, yeah, to the original show, and he's like, "Oh God, what a horrible nightmare." Yeah, that's good. So yeah, he'll be missed. He will be missed. So yeah. So what's going on with you guys today? How's your day been so far, Bryce?
I've been okay. I feel like I've kind of exhausted recently, but hopefully soon I'll be less exhausted. But there's also a lot of interesting things going on. I don't know if interesting is a good word, but it certainly hasn't been boring over the past week.
Yeah, we live in interesting times.
Yeah. Interesting indeed.
I'm where you are, Price, though. Like, as a Canadian, heat is not good for us. We like the cold. So summer's always that kind of time. We hibernate up here in the summertime. It's so I just kind of like sit around and await fall. But it's not bad, you know.
I like the heat, but when it's sort of a mix of humid and heat and really high temperatures, it starts kind of weighing down on me, I guess.
The part that gets to me is all the city smog, where it feels like you got slime on your skin. Like I don't mind like heat and sweat, but when it's like grimy, muddy, and you just have to
that's that
wash
muggy humidity. I hate that shit. But how's your week been, CC? I know you've been moving about, but you getting settled in, or?
Well, I mean, however much you're gonna get settled in 5 or 7 days. But yeah, I'm getting into road trip mode. It's been all right, you know. It's like I'm visiting some new places, and it's like it's not crowded. There's nobody around. I was like, I was thinking I would just get into a mob of all these summer campers, you know, like family season. You got all the screaming kids and the barking dogs. There's been nobody here. It's empty. I mean, I'll take it. It's just like, I guess it's not a big camping season this year.
And yeah, we're live on X as well, as we got Old Man David here, sending in some chats in on the X side of things. Not something we see too often, but we do know you guys are watching on X, so thank you for that. Appreciate it. So yeah, well, glad to hear you guys are doing well. And as I said, we'll probably be getting some more faces in here as we move along. But do share out that link, let everybody know that we are live. And today started out interesting. We got a couple trailers to start with. We got BeetleJuice trailer number 2, which I would assume would probably be the final trailer, considering the movie comes out in September. But yeah, we got a little bit more look at the story.
They definitely showed a lot in this one.
A lot more BeetleJuice,
too much, but
yeah. Well, go ahead and start there, CC. What was your reaction to it?
Well, I mean, besides the fact that they gave away more than I would probably like to see in a trailer, if I like to be like discover some things when I actually go to see the movie, but I really liked the trailer. I mean, I thought this was a much better trailer than the first one. I mean, I appreciate the practical effects they're going for. It actually kind of looks. I mean, I know Tim Burton's basing this on his previous artistic work, but I mean, we talked about how Tim Burton hasn't really done anything that really, you know, nothing on the level of his earlier work for quite some time. And I guess this, in that sense, this isn't something brand new, but it does look like he might do it at the level of the original film, which would be fantastic if that turns out to be the case. I'm loving the energy in it. I'm loving the visuals. Looks like everyone's having fun doing it. So, you know, this actually made me more excited. I was a little bit lukewarm to see it after the first trailer, but now I'm actually excited. I'm thinking I want to see this movie now. So if that's the point of the trailer, is to get me to want to see the movie. Success, you know, cool. It did that.
All right. Well, Bryce, what did you think?
You know, I tend to agree with CC that it was a bit better than the earlier one that I saw. But I don't know, is it trying to be kind of a funny Jenna Ortega movie for youngsters or something? What are they going with? I wasn't exactly sure how I felt about it.
I mean, when I first turned it on, I did have to check and make sure that I wasn't watching another Jenna Ortega show.
It's like they wanted to bring the Wednesday vibe into here.
I did literally have to pause it and check that I wasn't watching the wrong trailer until it actually showed that it was BeetleJuice. That's
know,
not,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, I don't think it wasn't terrible. I'm still not sold on the idea of even making a sequel to this movie after so many years. I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch it. I'm gonna go watch this movie, and I'm hoping it's not bad. But I didn't see it and think necessarily that it's gonna be great either. It may just be okay.
You know, I'm pretty much on the same grounds as you guys with this whole thing. Like, is this the better trailer than the first trailer we got? Yes. Does Michael Keaton look a lot better, sound a lot better, act a lot better here than I thought he looked in the previous trailer? Yes. I like the world. I like how the practicality of the world looks. I have some reservations. The story is turning out to be exactly what a lot of what I predicted. It's leaning more into making BeetleJuice a good guy of sorts. Now, I hope that's just, he's up to something else in the background because that's kind of what BeetleJuice is about. But on that note, like, yeah, I'm kind of seeing him lean a little too much into it. Almost feels like there's two different films kind of going on here. You guys are right. Like when we see the BeetleJuice stuff, we see the house, we see the world, beyond the human world, like the actors that are still alive from the first film that pop up here and there in the thing, the Bobs, whatever, which are basically Minions 2.0 now. It looks like it's kind of fitting that he's got a yellow suit on in this scene here. I mean, things like that are kind of making me feel like it's the TV series, the cartoon, and then the other one. You guys are right; it almost feels like a Wednesday TV show on the other side of it. So yeah, I mean, there was some fun moments in this trailer, though. It did make me laugh a little bit. There was some goofier moments, but I also kind of agree with what Lost for Words is saying here. He's not lost for words to send in 2 pounds and say, "Hey, colors looks like an A24 film." I agree. Well, this is kind of a problem with films across the board. If they are actually colorful like this, there's still something that's off about them. Now, this looks better cinematography wise than a lot of other films I've seen lately, especially Marvel Fair and whatnot. But they must have cranked up the saturation or something just to kind of help with that. I don't know. Because it's definitely not shot on film. It's digital.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Just throw it on a computer and crank the saturation.
Yeah. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you still see. Here's the thing, and this is kind of what I talk about. See how the background looks kind of not so much up in the left hand side, but down on the right hand side underneath BeetleJuice's arm here. You see where it just kind of goes to gray and there's smudginess. So that's not how film works. Film rolls off. So a lot of this stuff would kind of look like it would just go into the darkness. And that's probably part of the problem with digital is you can't get real serious blacks with it unless you get the right kind of everything going on. So I don't know. That's just some minor gripes with it. Like you guys, this at least has some things in it that make me look like I might want to see it more than I did before.
I do like the visuals. Like this is a great shot, and
yeah,
I mean if the movie pops in the care that it takes with the framing, if everyone's having fun like they are in this trailer.
I mean, let's be honest. I want to see this on opening day, or if there's a sneak preview that I can get into, I'll see it then. It's not that I don't want to see the movie. I have this feeling that I'm not going to be as excited as I'd like to be after I watch it.
It almost feels like they're trying to cram too much into one movie.
Because they want the old generation and the new generation. It's sort of that kind of Force Awakens.
Yeah.
The Force Awakens syndrome. Although I really hope Tim Burton is not going to J.J. Abrams this. But I hope it's also not a Force Awakens syndrome.
The trailer really didn't lean into Jenna Ortega very much at all.
I mean, we can tell that she's part of the catalyst as far as her mom and BeetleJuice working together. But, I mean, I can't believe she's not in the film all that much.
Well, I mean, that's why I was asking the question. Is like, is the trailer hiding how much she's in the film? Or
she's in the film a lot. They need they need young ladies to go watch this.
I mean, if half the movie is those school scenes, it's going to be a totally different movie than what the trailer is giving off, right?
I don't know. I think was it UCC or which one? Either one of you said I agree that It almost feels like they gave away too much in the trailer. I think it was UCC.
I think
Yeah.
Cece
First
said it,
started
and I
out.
agree.
It felt
and I
like,
agree.
It felt like they
yeah.
went all the way to showing us the climax scene.
Oh, I
which
kind of already
probably
know
that
how this is
wedding
going to
thing,
go,
and it's like,
right? Yeah.
you know.
It has something to do with this wedding, and that's going to be part of BeetleJuice's deal. And we're going to be reminded that her and him got married in the last film, but he's also got this other wife now, so that's going to come into play here with him, committing bigamy of some sort. You know what I'm saying? So like that's how she's going to get out of being married with her, and they're setting up the ex-wife or the wife of BeetleJuice as the bad guy. Which, okay, fine, it's a change of pace that it's a woman instead of it being a man. But I was fine with Beetlejuice being the anti-bad guy or whatever you want to call it anyway, because that's the story. Like that's the original story is, yeah, they call on Beetlejuice because they think they need his help and they have no other choice. But that's the whole point is you don't, because Beetlejuice is always up to something that he's always out for something for himself and not really interested in helping people. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the whole point. I mean, when you kind of change that here, I mean, I'm sure there is some ulterior motive for Beetlejuice. So I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. But I mean, if this movie ends with making him a good guy, because I didn't mind the cartoon. I like the cartoon. It works for a cartoon, but Beetlejuice is not meant to be a good guy, right? Like, I mean, he's not meant to be somebody we hate necessarily, but he's not a good guy.
I see where you're coming from, because they've been doing that a lot, but I didn't necessarily get that vibe from the trailer either. I mean, if the wedding scene is the climax of the film, they were certainly giving the impression that he's up to no good at that point.
Oh yeah, but I don't know if that's not part of his. You could be right, but then again, they're giving us a little too much, and it's almost the same plot than as the first film all over again. Because that's how he tells her is like, I can help you, but I got to get married.
Yeah. It's the Force Awakens.
Yeah, he's like, I can come out there, but I got to get married. That's the whole thing. But yeah, so we'll see how that rolls. I don't know if you guys had anything more to say about that before we jump into the super chat here, but no, I think at this point we just kind of got to wait and see how the movie comes out. It's already in September, so it's not that far away.
What? If it's a 7 out of 10, I'll be satisfied for what I expect it to be.
I think I'll be very fair with this one.
If it's more than that, then we're winning in a big way.
Because I like Beetlejuice, but I'm not like, I've never been like this diehard fan. Yeah, I like the animated series. I like the original movie. I had a couple of toys when I was a kid, but it wasn't like Beetlejuice was one of the big things for like. It came out at the same time as Ninja Turtles, so like I was pretty preoccupied with Ninja Turtles. If that makes sense.
I would hope it's a movie that's good enough that I could watch them both. In a rewatch scenario on whatever a day.
And they work together,
them. Yeah. And if that's the case, then I'm happy.
I'm hoping it's good more so for you guys out there, because I can tell the pent up, want for this movie or whatever you want to call it, desire for this film, and it is a movie that the internet kind of willed into existence. But yeah, I hope it's good for everybody's sake. I hope most people enjoy it. It is pretty much what they hope for out of a sequel to Beetlejuice. Filmwatcher 96 sends in 5 Canadian. Hey, how you doing? Variety reported Halo canceled after 2 seasons at Paramount Plus. Hey, sorry about that, eh? Well, it kind of sucks when they make a shitty show, huh? And that's why Halo got canceled, is nobody watched it. And yeah, it just didn't do well. Did anybody here on the panel even check it out? I was never a big...
No, honestly, I didn't even watch it. People told me I should check it out, maybe to see if some people kind of liked it. One person I know kind of liked it. Most told me it was terrible, and I never watched it.
I gotta imagine CC got into it because he's a gamer guy.
Well, I mean, Halo was not a series that I got into specifically, right? So I haven't actually
part
played
of your
the
answer
games,
right there, yeah.
But I would have watched it. Like, I had interest in it until I started reading that it completely shat on the source material. And at this point, I was like, I have better things to do. So, but I would have if I had heard that it was, done properly. At least checked it out. But no, I didn't.
Yeah, sorry, I can't really comment other than I did hear that it got canceled, and I'm not surprised. Not surprised in the least. Well, we had another trailer drop. And I got to tell you, I'm probably more this is one of those movies where I'm more excited for the popcorn bucket. Okay, what happened to our X feed died? No wonder shit's so low. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened to the X feed. It's dead.
Well, shit happens.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah. That's the first.
Are you talking? Was there some kind of alien movie that the popcorn thing looked good, or what?
Yeah,
what?
Sorry, I got distracted by the fact that our stream wasn't streaming.
But was that it? Was it the alien movie?
Yeah.
Because it was the weirdest thing. I happened to just like such a quick glance see that, and I thought to myself, Tom's gonna love this popcorn thing. I don't know why.
I want this.
Yeah.
Yes. And I saw a picture of it like a week ago.
I've also got to point out
real.
that I just tried to Google search for the live stream on YouTube, and I had to like dig into your actual channel and then go to the live tab before it even showed up.
So. Yeah, our fucking numbers are way down,
and I'm subscribed to the channel, and normally it shows up, but I had to like go dig in today for some reason.
I'm trying to figure this out too, because we've got like nobody watching here, guys, and we're not private. I had issue getting the stream to start.
Something must have just like got knocked around. Because I don't think there's anything particularly like salacious about the topics today either. It's,
no, I'm like trying to figure this shit out. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So, but thank you for those who did tune in to watch us, I guess. And it's also saying we got like, I don't know, maybe are we still working on X? Because it says, oh yeah, now we're back up on X. Something happened with another one. Okay, I'm gonna remove that other one. Okay, so all right, but we're still a really low count compared to normal.
Well, suffice to say, anybody who's watching, thank you for going to the effort of somehow finding the stream.
Yeah,
if it wasn't
I don't know what the hell is going on. I apologize, guys, because I am a misogynistic Snyder hater, Andy. You can get in here. Don't you have the link? I think you're in the room. If you're not busy, that is. So yeah, we got an Alien Romulus trailer, and I don't know how you guys feel about this exactly. I mean, the trailer itself looks like a fancy Alien fan film. I'm gonna say it.
I'm actually, I like the trailer.
It looks good, but
again, it's kind of like with BeetleJuice. Do I think this is going to be the second, do I think this is going to be as good as the first or the second film in the franchise? No. But it gives me hope that maybe it could be good for what it is, right?
I'm getting too many
people on a ship getting killed by aliens, some good sets, some good set design, some actual frightening stuff, and some, good arc, good sort of general.
I'm getting a lot of Memberberry vibes. That's my problem, especially with this Chicky Poo here. Like, and it's not that I care if we have a strong female protagonist. It's that do they have to dress her in a bunch of Ripley style costumes?
Well, there's the hair Ripley one style. Half-second clip in the trailer too, whereas like I had to double, triple, quadruple check because it was like, was that Sigourney Weaver? Because or did they actually clip something out of the original Alien film? It was when the alien and when the alien's facing her down and she's got that look on her face. It's just like Ripley. And like,
I think this franchise is kind of dead.
Kind of is, but I mean, there's some interest for it. It seems. I mean, I guess.
I mean, that's why they make these movies. You always there's no shortage of suckers. Now I'm not trying to be mean because I'm a sucker usually too. Like I end up watching these stupid movies too, but really Aliens, those are the good ones. Alien 3 barely, and anything after that has been varying degrees of shit.
I mean, I'm still a little bit annoyed at how things worked out with Neil Blomkamp's idea.
Yeah,
I wanted to see that movie, and then we got Prometheus instead. So I'm still pretty sour on that.
That's the other thing.
There were a few together. Which was the one that with what's his Fassbender that he's a bit?
That's the Prometheus and
he was in a few of them,
Ridley
right?
Scott. Yeah, that's the Ridley Scott ones.
So he was in Prometheus, but then another one too, right?
Yeah, Covenant.
Oh, I don't know,
I
man.
mean,
Those two, they're kind of they're in my
They're
mind as one
horrible.
movie, and I don't remember exactly even every detail except for kind of looking at them and not liking them, and really being surprised at how much I didn't like them.
I mean, I'll give Ridley Scott the right to say that he wanted to make his movie, but I mean, Neil Blomkamp had an idea.
Deserve that right though, because
yeah, I really wanted to see that movie. He had Sigourney Weaver on board. He was going to follow it, the second Alien film on his own thing, and I was totally up for that. And then it all got, it just went in the trash so that we could get Prometheus and that other Prometheus sequel. And now this, which is, I mean, I hope it's good for what it is. I know what it is. It'll be people on a spaceship getting killed by aliens. Okay, so hopefully it's done well. But it's like we're still getting this instead of that. Maybe that would have been crappy too, but at least it sounded like he had an idea to it, something that was going to take the franchise in an interesting direction instead of,
I mean, there's things here that I do like. I like that, this is like built on a heist. So that's something we haven't really seen yet in the Alien universe. And that's what I resonated with, is the stuff that isn't exactly stuff that we've seen before. Then every time I turn around in this trailer, there's something else. It's like, remember Alien? Remember Aliens? Remember Aliens? Remember Alien? Remember Aliens? Remember this? It's like, yeah, okay. Why can't you just do your own thing?
I think that I want to see more people in Hollywood do their own thing in general. It's just...
And this is also the guy who made that really shitty recent Evil Dead film, that woke ass piece of shit. Anyway,
I can't remember when the last time somebody just said, "Hey, I have this cool idea," and then you just look at it and it's something different and fun and interesting. I mean, once in a while, but nowhere near what we got back in the day. And this desperation of continuing to revive these older movies just for the sake of reviving them, but not because there's any real reason to revive them. It's kind of growing old.
Have either of you seen the movie Sunshine? Because I'm a fan of that one. It's science fiction, and it's people on a spaceship, but they're drifting towards a sun, right? So that's
is that the one with the little girl that she sings, dances, or something?
I don't remember that part. No.
Oh, that's Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah, no, that was yeah. From the Star Wars movie we didn't get.
That was a movie. I think that was a movie for women, right?
Yeah. Lost for Words sends in 2 more pounds and says Alien reheated. Yeah, it's kind of what this feels like. Yeah.
And it's like, if this movie, the reason I brought up Sunshine is because if this movie could tap into being as good in structure and function, but being an Alien movie, cool, right? But if it's just like, how many Saw films, and look, if you love all the Saw films, great. But there is that point where it's just like, you're recycling the same thing over and over and over again until you have 20 entries in the franchise.
Only the first one was good.
Yeah, I really like the second Saw film, honestly.
I mean, and this might be probably one of the better Alien films we've gotten since Aliens. I'm not going to lie. But at the end of the day, it's not really doing anything for me. I don't know.
I'm sorry I'm like a broken record, but much like that other trailer we saw, this also has a Force Awakens vibe.
Less, even. Like, there's nothing really... And here's my other problem with this movie. It's a midquel. Takes place between Alien and Aliens. So again, I'm like, why do we even... Can't you just go into the future? Because I probably would have less problems with the movie if it would just be, set past all the other films. Why do we need to keep... Yeah,
I agree. Something totally in the future, and maybe like as an Easter egg, somebody mentions Ripley or something like that. But that's it. Like
you don't even need to go that far. You can even just mention like the Bishop model of
right. Anything, just throw in some Easter egg, and then people that know will be like, oh, okay, and that's it. Not even like a real member berry, just the smallest Easter egg.
And that's my problem, is how the member berries look like they're handled here, right? Like that's what I was getting at. So. There's one way to handle member berries, and there's way to handle callbacks, and there's ways that just like in this trailer to me, It feels like they're just shoving shit in just because it's like, yeah, this looks like aliens. Yeah, it looks cool. It looks really cool. I almost get more like the Batman vibes from it. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer on the film either.
No. I think we're already all kind of very used to having these kind of, I don't know if to call them reboots or whatever you want to call them, midquels or prequels and all this dumb stuff. I think everybody's tired of it. I think it's so rare that something comes out that's not crappy.
And Bebop Boop is asking about the Noah Hawley series. I think that one does actually take place in the future, but don't quote me on that.
I hope so. Maybe then you have some potential. I don't want to continuously be tied down to older events, especially since all of these things, they try to meddle with stuff that we already know and like. And usually the meddling isn't good, but let's say even if it wasn't political or agenda based or whatever it is, it's still nothing that I want. I don't need more crap between Alien and Aliens. I mean,
Dr. Sleep, I would not put this past them. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm going to say something controversial, and maybe some people will be offended by this, but I will even say that Rogue One, I didn't need that movie either. It's out of the Disney stuff, that midquel thing, it's probably one of their better efforts because all the rest was so crappy. But even that movie I thought was just whatever. And with the exception of the last 40 minutes that had kind of a nice battle to watch, I could take it or leave it. I mean, if you just made that movie go away and I just delete it from my memory and from canon, I'll still be okay.
I mean, I'm of two minds about it. Another movie I'll throw out there is Cube. That's a favorite of mine. That goes in kind of into sci-fi. Cube. Yeah, it's about people that are trapped.
Is that Jennifer Lopez one?
No. This is
who was in that? I'm trying to remember.
It's about people that are trapped in a cube, like a room that's shaped like a cube, and there's a puzzle to get out.
Oh, I'm thinking of The Cell anyway. I'm sorry. Yeah. I know.
And it was a really good movie. I mean, there were certain twists in that movie that wouldn't work if just repeated in future films, right? But the concept, I would have watched 10 Cube films if they were executed well, because it was just really fascinating. So in that sense, I don't mind.
Cubed?
Well, yeah, I don't mind that, and I don't mind the concept of people in a claustrophobic space being hunted, right? I can see that again, and I like the set design from the trailers in this movie. I'm going to say that I really like the set design, and if it's executed really well, I'll be at least reasonably satisfied by that, right? But on the one hand, it feels like it wants to be Alien. On the other hand, it feels like it wants to be Aliens. There's like shots of like, a hive there, and there's just everything's thrown out all over the place, right? Everything's, it's like multiple aliens. And all right, but if it's going to be executed really well, it does need an identity, right? It can't just be feeding on the member berries and being half of this movie and half of that movie, so I got my reservations, but kind of like what I said with BeetleJuice, if it's a 7 out of 10, yay, I don't see how this is going to be a 9 out of 10 or something like that. It doesn't, it's already kind of shorted on that potential, right?
I have a strange question that has nothing to do with what you just said.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
There was a movie, and I can't remember the name of it, one of the worst movies ever, that I feel like it wanted to be an Aliens, but it had $5 as a budget. Do you remember a movie that everybody's on a spaceship and there's some kind of, I want to say, crystal or something that's killing them?
No.
Think like the cheap, like as if you and I had like a camera and we made the movie. It was so bad that like sometimes I think of this movie and I'm sad that I don't remember the name of it. It's something like, late 80s, early 80s. I feel around the same timeline as like an Alien. It's called Creature, somebody said.
Is that what you're thinking of, or Galaxy of? There's a lot of movies like that.
Now I have to check this out.
If you remember who's in it, that might help more. Like Galaxy of Terror, like is kind of like a space movie, but is it star crystals?
There's like a crystal.
I have no idea. See, that's the thing is,
I got a whole bunch of different ideas in the chat.
yeah, we need some more kind of something to go on.
Sorry, I'm gonna try to think more
you're
about
fine,
this.
brother. But there's a lot of movies that kind of resemble that. But how you
This
doing,
one, this one was the worst. Like I remember even as a kid, not like now as an adult. As a kid, I looked at it and I was laughing like really hard. Like even as a child, I knew that the effects and it was even then I could tell it was cheap.
Well, watch some trailers after the show. Maybe you'll find it.
Which
Maybe
trailer is this?
Well, we were just talking about the Alien trailer. So what'd you think of that?
I did, I was going to watch it, but then all of a sudden I forgot all about Cobra Kai. And because the last week's been so dominated by, let's just say, otherworldly news, that I actually lost track of time. Like, oh crap, that is time that I went through Cobra Kai without having to get to that. But you could go ahead and spoil anything about it, because I definitely got thoughts on Cobra Kai.
Well, we're going to get to Cobra Kai in just a few minutes. Did you watch the BeetleJuice trailer?
No, just go ahead and go for it. Unfortunately, like I said,
we already
that one I
talked
didn't
about
even
him already.
know about. That one I didn't even know.
I was giving you guys time, giving you a chance to talk about him if you hadn't yet. But no, like, unless you guys had more to say on the Alien trailer, we could probably move into Cobra Kai. And I think a couple of you might be dropping out because you hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah, I really want to see it, and I don't want to spoil it because I love that show. I mean, I liked it until now, so I don't want to ruin it for me.
All right.
I don't necessarily mind the spoilers, but I don't have anything to add if I haven't seen it yet.
Well, if you want to stick around, that's up to you, and you can maybe ask questions. But I mean, I don't know how spoilery we're going to get, but
well,
Bryce, if you want to check out, that's up to you.
The thing is, if it's not spoilery, then I'm happy to stay and hear things. But if it's more spoilery, and I also don't want to ruin your conversation. If you want to do spoilers, I don't want to be the downer.
Well, here's the thing: it's the first part of a 3-part season, so there's some things I guess that could be surprises if you want it to be things to be a surprise. I guess that'd be a better way of putting it. Yeah, so if you want to check out, you can plug all your stuff right now and everything like that, and we can let you get out of here. We can go, but that's up to you.
Well, basically, I guess tonight I have at 10 p.m. Quantum Leap Revisited, and then on my live channel, Price of Reason Live, and then on Price of Reason Live at 11:45 p.m. there's The Night Owl. So if anybody feels like checking that out, you're all welcome to. And aside from that, thanks for having me on, and as usual, and everybody have a great night.
Sounds good. Take care of yourself.
All right,
Take care, Bryce.
Bye, Nick.
CC, are you going to stick around or?
Yeah, I'll stick around. I may not speak a whole lot, but if I have any burning questions, I'll chip in.
All right. So Nick, how much did you get to watch?
All 5. Dude, I love this show. There was way. When I said it was like, I totally forgot. That was like as honest of a mistake as it was. Like normally I've been good catching seasons 3, 4, and 5 the first day, and knowing that it was those specific days. But once again, because of the way the world has been crazy, I was as genuine as I get when I say I totally forgot. But I can't believe it. I was like, oh man, I feel like a poser. So I corrected that mistake, of course. I watched all 5.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was hoping
hoping
Script would be here by now because I think he's seen it.
Oh yeah, he's seen it.
I think so. But all right. So let's first up just kind of go over like just personal feelings so far of what we've gotten of this season. Season 6, part 1 of 3. 5 episodes, and they're actually longer running episodes.
Yep.
They're like in the 35 to 40 minute range, roughly, depending on the episode. Mm-hmm. So they're a little more extended. So yeah, what's your thoughts, just kind of briefly, your feelings of the season so far, of what you saw? Did you like it, dislike it?
Overall, I find it so far to be very strong. I do have a small concern, but to be fair, that concern could get validated, cleared up change my thoughts on it when the second or third parts of the season goes on. I'm not going to go into that part, but like I said, outside that small concern, other than that, though, I really, really enjoyed it. There were characters who I definitely was rooting more towards, that I was kind of like, oh, that character's cool, but I like this one more, that I was rooting for more this time around. So I did like that. And it was awesome to have a few expected appearances from a few returnees, which was awesome as well. So, no, I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to do a rewatch of these 5 episodes.
I did enjoy it. I liked it a lot. It's probably so far my least favorite. But, of course, it's kind of hard to judge it because by now, we've gotten all 10 episodes right in one chunk, and we generally get to, bask in them as we will. But now we got to wait I think it's a few months, November.
Yes, November. They said November 15th.
So, yeah, we got a little ways to wait yet for the second half, and that's just the middle half, and then the rest of them will be in the early part of next year, from my memory. So we'll have to see how this rolls, which is kind of funny because that's how it starts, with Keep On Rolling by REO Speedwagon. I have some concerns like you, though. There's certain elements of this show that feel like, I don't know if necessarily I would say it's painting by numbers. This is why I wish Script was here, because he could probably help this with this portion. Because there's something about this season.
Some mutual concerns.
Yeah, there's something about this season with the way the writing is set up, with the way the characters are kind of dynamic. I don't even think that's a word. The dynamic between the characters, that it feels robotic. Almost like, okay, we have all these characters. We got to make sure they all get their last little bits here before we get to the end. And we all kind of can predict where certain elements are going to go for the show, but it's almost like they're adding extra hurdles just to have storyline. And sometimes I hate to say it, but it almost feels like they're padding the season out just because they got an extra 5 episodes at the last minute.
I wonder if, I wonder about that. No, that wasn't
not so much written by AI, John. Just like they had this initial idea and then like, oh, we get 5 extra episodes. Well, we got to pad this out a little bit now. And my other biggest concern is we get a literal mystery box in this one. And I don't know if we're going to get all the mysteries answered. Because they may be setting up another spin-off series.
So here's a question. Because one of my favorite video game series is an RPG series, right? It was going on for years and years and years, still going on. But it reached the end of this multi-game story arc, right? And it had so many characters in it by the end, by this final season, so to speak, that one of the major complaints about the final game in that plot arc is it had to spend most of the game giving time to all of these characters, to make sure that they got those story beats in for those particular characters instead of having a more kind of organic flow to it.
Yeah,
you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Is that what's going on here? Like,
there's something inorganic about it, but it's not so much that it feels forced-ish. Like, I don't want people to get that idea. It's just like, it almost feels like, okay, we got all these characters now that we have to deal with, right? And some of these characters that pop up in this one, like Nick said, yeah, it's fun to get to see some of the returning Cobra Kai characters. But at some points, it feels like it's just more of, like, did we really need to waste time on this? But I get it. Everybody's getting their last tip of the hat that's been in the show, pretty much, it feels like. I mean, they even brought up, I think, Ed Asner's character, because I don't think he died in the show yet, but I think he passed away in real life. So, like, I mean, they're doing their best to kind of, it feels like, get towards a wrapping up of sorts, and they are leading towards a big climax, but it just kind of feels like now, and adding these kind of elements to it with all these characters they're juggling, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but it reminds me of kind of the anime storytelling, where you kind of have a lot of the interrelationship things going on. And it's kind of normal for anime, and it is normal for this too, but it's almost getting too much into the soap opera element. And then some of the things that I remember other people complaining about the last 2 seasons I'm starting to see a little bit more here now, but there's this constant thing where they have to constantly try to keep certain characters at odds with each other and work together at certain other times. And but with that, there's certain elements of this show that I did like, right? I liked that they kind of showed that it's a little bit more complicated for women to squash their beef than it is for men, right? And how men have this way of just dealing with that shit, and women just can't seem to understand. You know what I mean? And it doesn't necessarily get into that aspect, but it does get into the aspect of how, Robbie and Miguel, their relationship, it's complicated, but they're able to get past a lot of stuff in the past. That's kind of how guys deal with shit. And I don't know about you guys, but I mean, that's generally the experiences I've had in life is, yes, people will fight, but eventually some of your closest friends growing up are people that you didn't get along with at first and you got into a fist fight with. And afterwards you kind of knew where each other stood. And from that point on, things were good between you because you kind of knew who was the alpha and who was the beta at that point. But that was just kind of the way men work. Women, on the other hand, they hold grudges. And it's a lot about feelings and having their feelings vindicated, right? So like there's that aspect. And I'm not trying to get too philosophical and deep into the show because this show is really not all that deep. But there is just like little elements of that I thought were good. I like how they're somewhat dealing with the challenges of the team together now in a way. I'm waiting with bated breath for certain people to show up if they'll ever show up. But no, overall, I guess it's been a fun first 5 episodes. I like that they're a little longer, but there was a little while in some parts there I felt like we're padding this out just a little too much with some of the extraneous character stuff. But what did you think, Nick? Otherwise,
I'm trying to think, how do I word this? Like I said, the few complaints I have, they're not like necessarily like things that are gonna be like, oh man, screw this show. They're nothing of that caliber, and some of them can be corrected when we see the greater picture of things. And yeah, you could definitely feel like there's definitely some of the soap opera elements definitely being more present. Do I find it entertaining though, so I can forgive it? Yeah, I can definitely find that. So a lot of the I do like to seeing that we're now seeing some of the characters, I guess you could say, move past for some of them, that karate for some of those a phase, and now you see what happens to some of them. Maybe some of them, they were once the cool kids in school. When they go on to, let's just say, somewhere else, and they're the small fry there. So I did like seeing a lot of that. I have, once again, there's particular characters, once I can't say their names, and I was just like, man, you're definitely you're rough around the edges like other people, but you don't have the cool factor. Now I'm feeling like some of these characters have that cool factor. As far as where some of these characters are advancing, I did feel like most of the list of the picks were very convenient, maybe a little overly so, except for one character. I'm like, oh, why that character? Once again, not a deal breaker, but especially it definitely reeks of the definition of didn't earn it aspect. And it wasn't like it was a participation trophy. It's more of there's some shady practice at play. No, there's no Jackie Chan cameo. I feel like that's safe to say.
Well, that's where I think the mystery box is coming in.
It could be, but I'm just saying, as of now, we have the 5 episodes, which I have some concerns about said box. I don't want to go into details until we're allowed to, but I do have some concerns about that. I mean, unless you want to go all in, man, you let me know. Well, I'm ready to have that conversation, Tom.
I was going to bring this up, but that kind of was where I was going to go with that. Was any word on the Karate Kid movie that's coming out next year? Well, if the mystery box isn't setting up a spin-off series, it's definitely going to feed into the movie.
You think so? Okay,
I do, think anything because like that. For one, it's either going to be the connection between Miyagi and Mr. Hong or whatever the hell Jackie Chan's name is, or it's what's going to leave Daniel to China and where those two are going to meet up. because not to here's CC is where we're going to start getting into spoilers. So let me bring
I don't
up
mind, but you're driving a question in my mind right now. Do you think that the requirement to push this into the movie is going to hurt the story?
It's just adding this mystery box.
Okay.
And I think the problem with that is that if they don't finish the mystery in the show, then you have a hanging mystery box left open for either the movie or a spin-off show. And the thing is with what the mystery box is presenting, it's not as big of a mystery as something like Lost or something that J.J. Abrams would normally do. It's kind of there. You can kind of see what it's all about, but you just kind of have to see Daniel piece it together. Because, okay, so for those who don't know, and this is kind of in the trailer anyway, so it's not that much of a spoiler. And you don't know how he didn't notice it all these years, but in their one cabin they have that Miyagi built, I think it was his old house that he used to stay in, where they've got Chosen staying right now. They're moving some things around, and underneath one of the carpets is this trap door, and under the trap door is this mystery box. Like I said, a literal mystery box. And inside it is a bunch of stuff from what appears to be Miyagi's past, and it all is related to stuff that he has never told Daniel about. It looks like he either had some sort of brother or had to change his name because of an involvement in a crime. And the crime is kind of set up in a way that you can kind of tell how it's probably going to play out, and whenever we do get the actual answers to it. But what I think it's setting up Daniel to learn is for this tournament, that there's a little bit more to karate than just what Miyagi's taught him so far. Sometimes there might be a time to kill, right? Because that's one thing Miyagi has never really addressed too much with Daniel. And because I think I think it's going to come to a head where they're going to have to question whether or not it's even safe to have John Kreese alive anymore. And it's going to come down to Daniel to decide that. But we'll see. I could be very wrong on that, but it's clearly that they're leaving some door open for him to go investigate what happened in Miyagi's past, and that'll probably bump him into Jackie Chan's character. And we also find out that he'd done a lot more things than obviously Daniel had thought. Like, he was in boxing, and he had actually fought in the big tournament that they're heading to, and all this other stuff. So there's like little tidbits in there for him to learn about, and I'm sure some of it'll feed into this show, but some of it might be left open as an open door for the future. So, but with that, otherwise, spoilery to get into what I was kind of getting at before with the character dynamics. It's like we almost already know the final 6 characters, because that's kind of the setup, is that the tournament only allows six members from each team to represent the dojo, with one female and one male captain. So you can kind of predict exactly who's going to go by the way the show is set up, obviously, but they're going through all these hoops now before they get to what is going to probably be the final team. Although we kind of have an idea that this might be the final team, there's still things like, Nick, you were bringing up, like some sabotage and things like that. Because I have a feeling Payne is going to end up either on coming back in because of what that girl did, or he'll end up on Kreese's team, because there's still 2 more people we haven't met.
You're talking about, I'll just put the name in the private chat. That kid,
yeah, Payne. I already said his name.
Oh, you did? Okay, I missed it. Yo, boy, yeah, and that could see it happen. What I could definitely see, especially with his outcome. Oh boy, yeah, and it's unfortunate because I was really enjoying his character arc. I was really enjoying it this season. I was really like, okay, kid's going a very interesting way, and oh boy, yeah. I feel I
got Pai Mei is basically like this bad guy version of Miyagi. Sorry, go ahead, Nick. Yeah,
I wonder if I don't think this giant worldwide tournament is going to drag out 10 episodes. I honestly think it's only going to be the middle episodes.
You think so?
10, and then 11. Right. Yes, and I think 11 through 15 they're going to bring it back home. They're going to bring it back to literal home where they started, ground zero. That's what I think. Because think about it. Now to me that would really be dragging feet if they went 10.
Well, and here's what I was getting at is Sander. I think you're right. I think if Kenny doesn't wind up on creases because there's nothing setting him up, but that girl is going to end up she's going to either get busted or her conscience is going to get to her. And she seems like the type of person where her conscience would get to her, and she's going to drop out, and that means Kenny's going to take her place. And the same thing with Hawk. Dimitri doesn't really want to be there. Mm-hmm. He's only doing it now to get back at Hawk, and that's really what it'll boil down to. So that's what I feel like is you're kind of dragging this out for drama reasons because you have that many episodes to fill. That's where I was getting at.
Fine with that. I could see why some might interpret that.
And the school thing, it felt like it was drug out for too many. Like that's something you could handle in one episode.
Yeah, you could, but did I have fun with everything that was going on? Yeah. I mean,
it
sounds like we're going into spoilers now. We may as well just say, hey.
Yeah, I said warning spoilers. Okay. It's on this.
So thing, yeah. I liked when Miguel and what's his face? Hawk, Dimitri, all them went to go to the school, the college that they were checking out, and they went to that frat party and they saw their buddy Kyler, who was like these awesome, super badass kid. And all of a sudden they saw these, and he was talking, oh wow, something's never changed. And little did they know, he's basically the slave of that school. And they're like, hey, what's going on, man? And they find out, oh no, that school's trying to get rid of him. It was cool to see that change for Kyler's character, but it was also cool for them to see them stick around for Kyler, seeing what he went from being the bully to being the bullied, and now it was nice to see Miguel stick up for him like that. It shows that relationship came a long way from high school. I really also enjoyed Robbie's arc as well. It's really awesome to see where he's gone from being the second place kid to now the kid who finally had a proper win against Miguel.
Here's where I was kind of getting into where it's it's falling into kind of not necessarily maybe going with the motions, but you can kind of predict where it's headed, right? That's my thing. And the episode you're talking about, it was a fun episode, but you could have concluded that whole thing with Dimitri and Hawk in that episode.
Oh yeah,
and they just drug it out just so they could have them. Because part of the whole thing with them picking the kids, as far as that's where Mike comes in, and he helps them be more subjective as far as picking the kids for the final round or to go off to Madrid, or was it Spain? I think Madrid. Yeah, remember right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now I watched it real early this morning, guys. So you'll have to forgive me if I get a few facts wrong. Please correct us in the chat.
It's still fresh in my mind, so I might.
Yeah.
Because it's so fresh in my mind. So I have one concern. Outside of Devin's character, Johnny Lawrence playing the conflict of interest. That seemed very on him. Now, however, once again, to be fair, that could change. He could maybe get karma.
Are you talking about with what's her face when he's
with Mike Barnes? I was just like, Johnny, what are you doing?
Oh, I didn't mind the stuff between him and Mike Barnes. I didn't like.
No, not between Mike Barnes, but his favoritism towards Devin with Mike Barnes. I did not like that.
Yeah, it kind of felt weird.
Said, it could change, but as of now, I was just like, okay, unless he gets karma for that, I am not liking this.
That's kind of where the show falls into being a TV show, right? That's where it makes the mistake of doing an old TV show sin of all of a sudden, one of the main characters shows an interest in this other kid because she's complaining that she feels like she's not getting enough attention or getting noticed. And he's trying to push Mike to pay more attention to her. And in the process of that, distracts Mike. And he doesn't see some of her better qualities, but she's also the one who sabotages Kenny. And she's not a very likable character to begin with. And I kind of knew at first, I'm like, oh, she's going to end up going just because she's the other chick. But I thought that's because they had to have even teams. I didn't realize it didn't matter. Because I knew right away, I'm looking at the team. I'm like, well, we all know Robbie's going. We all know Miguel's going. We all know that, what's her face? Daniel's daughter's going. And we also know that, at first, I figured, it would be. Now I'm forgetting everybody's damn name, even though I know him. Blonde-haired chick.
Are you talking about
Tori?
Yes, Tori.
And I was pretty sure Tori was going to be there, but then that had a more interesting twist.
Yes,
that was one of the twists of the season I didn't necessarily see coming, but I was cringing.
I did not either.
Because I was like waiting, because I was like, they haven't showed her mom yet, I don't think. And I'm like, if they turn
No,
around
I
and
think
do
they showed
what
it in
everybody.
what, second season?
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they showed her very brief. Now, obviously, they showed more of her now, and that was when you find out she was having her condition.
Right.
I really did enjoy Tori's arc. I really thought that was actually one of the stronger points of the show, and I think she's actually a much better, more developed.
She's a much more complex character.
Sam
yeah.
Sam is Sam to me. No disrespect toward the actress, but to me, Sam is just Lou Russo's daughter.
Well, they made her so unlikable. Like that's the other problem with the show. Like you try to like her, and I've seen she's been getting some flack online, and I don't think it's real nice because I do think she has I think she has diabetes and some other issues with her weight.
Sam?
Yeah, the actress who plays. Yeah. So like some people were giving her shit for gaining so much weight between seasons.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the show's not doing her. If anything, the show's doing her the most dirty as far as characters go. Because since the beginning, she has been a catalyst for a lot of the problems in the show, and she's. You gotta side with Tori on a lot of the shit that she did to her.
I do.
Because, I mean, that's the thing. And it makes her a very unlikable character in the end. It's kind of... Because that's the thing where I agree with you with Robbie, too, because he earned it. Right? He has literally earned it as a character now that it's his time to shine. So...
Yeah. I'm happy to see where Robbie's gone, even though like I've historically leaned towards more Miguel, and I still love Miguel. I still love where his arc is going. But now, like, I'm slightly starting to, I'm now, like, if I was, like, 60-40 Miguel, Robbie, 40, now I'm, like, 60 Robbie, 40 Miguel. And it's not like Miguel's character, like, went down the drain. It's just because of where the character's arcs have gone that now I feel like I'm just really, liking Robbie more. I feel like
well, like I said, he's earned it, right? He's had a character arc where he's gone from being this bad boy jerk to doing something that he really regretted with hurting, Miguel. And then, having this arc. It was one of the few times, and I think I remember saying this at the time when the show came out, I'm pretty sure. It's one of the few times a show took a major character to jail and it didn't ruin the fucking show. It worked. Maybe it was just because it was Juvie and we knew he wasn't going to be there for very long, but that still didn't matter. It still is normally a situation where it takes a show and it takes it and just... My two biggest examples are My Name is Earl and Weeds. Both of those shows were destroyed when the two main characters went to jail. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
we already get that this world kind of gives them some leeway, and that's kind of where this season's starting to feel more and more like an anime, because it's like feels more again like where people were complaining where a couple of seasons there, what was it, 2 and 3, where they started feeling like, well, they're in their own world and nothing ever happens. There's no consequences. Well, yeah, they do make a note to bring up that so-and-so's on probation and so-and-so goes to jail and in prison and all that kind of business. But with that, though, they still kind of live in this world where people get away with a lot more and they fight a lot more and have...
but that's
than
part of the fun of the
life.
show.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can roll with that element. I can roll with that because, as I've mentioned before, historically... at times stuff like this will test your suspension of disbelief, but if the show is very entertaining at the end of the day, I can look at that as a minor flaw that I can look past. And yeah, there's definitely some things here, especially, and it makes it clear that the show does take place in current day, that nowadays some of the handlings of it would be different, but whatever. I'll take this as escapism over 100% real life current year accuracy.
Now, some of the elements I really loved about this season so far is
I had some. Oh, dude!
From that
outside of his one moment, he's fantastic.
Yeah, like I don't see why he wouldn't. I don't believe that he wouldn't understand why Daniel would want to stop the fight at that point. Him trying to push Tori to fight, to me, made no sense whatsoever. But then again, that scene also reminded me, and I was like, and this is again where we're setting up this thing where I feel like they let Tori slip through their fingers, because both of these guys lost a parent when they were young.
Yes.
So both of them can relate to her in some way and talk to her in some way. And instead they had the mom step in, which was for story purposes to keep them at odds now, which that's where the show is kind of feeling like, okay, now you're just doing this so you can have this thing, which, all right, whatever. But Tori's character has also been wooed so much by Kreese that you can kind of understand why she does what she does.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And she's kind of like Robbie in a sense where she's had the similar arc, but she's handling it much differently, plus dealing with a hell of a lot more trauma on the side with dealing with her mom and all that other kind of shit.
Yeah, the Johnny. Now, the part that I did like with
I liked him as
Johnny
in the car dealership. Yeah.
Oh, dude, Giant the car. Dude, he was hilarious.
When he thinks that Daniel, I said, that's the first thought I had. He said, "Oh shit, he's gonna think Daniel's offering him a job." Sure, shit. Because I like this idea. He's trying to get his shit together. You know, he knows he's got a family to provide for now and all this shit. You know,
dude, the realtor when Johnny and Chosen went to go visit the houses and the way he was towards the realtor, I was like, oh man, this is great. And he runs into a guy from high school who he does remember, but the guy remembers him. I was like,
you know,
wow, okay.
And that's an interesting piece. I mean, because it was kind of a misdirect for the show in a weird way because. And this is why I would be curious where Script Doctor would have felt about this, because that's not normally a story element you would have when it goes nowhere unless it's going to come back later. Because what happened is like you said, he's looking at some houses to rent because he can't afford to buy one right now, but he needs to get a bigger place because in the opening part of the episode, one of the episodes, I think it was the first episode, their water pipes break and sewage pipes actually break in the apartment. So they got to get out of there. And so he's looking around at houses, and the second house they look at, the guy that owns it remembers Johnny from his tournament days and going to school with him. So it sounds like, it looks like Johnny's going to be able to get into this house, right? But then he actually brings up that it fell through financially. He couldn't get approved. So they at least address that. So I don't know if it's just, because if it doesn't go anywhere, it's like, okay, that's kind of interesting kind of piece for a show not to actually make that pay off, I guess. Because it almost felt like that was a resolution for that situation for now. But I don't know. It's going to be curious to see how that plays out. If it just like maybe it'll be kind of weird if like they turn around and he gets the same place at the end and whoever moved in was like, oh, they were a bad tenant and I should have rented to you in the first place or whatever. But, you know, some silly shit like that. I hope it's not. It just kind of was a weird thing. It's like, oh, okay, so you had that, but it still went nowhere. So it's like real life. You know, like sometimes shit just don't work out, you know, like in a way that, you know, like it just doesn't really pay off for the show either is what I mean. But it might in the end still, we don't know.
Yeah. I mean, our thoughts on a lot of this could change when we get back to this in 4 months.
That's the problem. Yeah. We've got 2 more parts to this. Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's good. It'll definitely keep us talking more about it and thinking about it longer. I mean, kind of like the way, you know, TV used to be. So I actually do appreciate Netflix going this route, spreading it out. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. It was nice to finish these shows since they had such short episodes. But because these episodes were on average 5 minutes long this time around, I definitely feel like it's definitely necessary to spread out, especially now they got 5 more on top of it. And I wouldn't be surprised if the final episode is probably like an hour and a half. I would not put it past them
me either.
For them to go full movie with that last episode.
Well, and then we got Sanders as the banter between Chosen and Johnny Swansea. I was actually surprised. That was another surprise. I thought they were going to go in for the gay joke in a way. Because I thought and the only reason you go for it is because Johnny would clearly be, you know, offended by it, because they walk in as a pair, and it almost sets it up like he's like, I'm like, oh shit, the realtor's gonna think they're a couple. And of course, Johnny would be like, Johnny, of course, would be like, where's that guy get off thinking we're gay? I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that, but why are we gay? He's like, I think you're gay because look at your shirt, but why me?
Maybe, you know what? I guess that's.
And then Chosen be like, really? You think this shirt makes me look gay?
I'm actually shocked, and I think it's a wonderful testament to show a lot of that stuff actually did not cross my mind while watching it. I guess that shows you, like,
I thought it would have been funny.
It would have been funny, don't get me wrong, but because of, you know, the...
And then Johnny would be like, you know, if we were gay, you'd be the wife, right? And Chosen would be like, why would I be the wife?
But with how
much... look at your shirt.
With how much gay talk has been increased in shows in spots where it didn't need to be, granted, in the show that would have been a fine moment to have done it. It would have been, I'll admit it. The fact that like stuff didn't cross my mind, because nowadays you watch them like, oh great, it seems like they're setting up Twitter shipping again. That stuff didn't cross my mind with Lawrence and Chosen. It just seemed like 2 dudes having a funny moment, being bros, and I thought it was great. And I like too, like how they're like, even when they put their differences aside, well, we're still gonna fight. I was like, yes, they're still gonna fight. Yes.
They're too much alike. They're too much alike. Yeah, that's what I love about the two of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's still a lot of stuff to love about the show. There's still lots.
Oh yeah, I didn't want to sound like I was bashing it, and like I mean, I know I started out like saying like, yeah, so far this is like the least of the seasons, but I mean they're just ramping this up yet. We got a ways to go, or at least a little ways to go. I mean, I'm kind of getting disappointed because like the likelihood of Julie showing up is getting less likely as we go along here.
Yeah, right. We still know Julie. Oddly,
I don't know if she's going to show up. I went from like 70% chance down to like 60%, maybe even 50% chance. Because they're already technically at the tournament, but until the tournament actually starts, you know.
I'm not banking on it anymore. Would I like for it to happen? Yeah, but I've come to grips with the possibility that straight up just might not happen.
But then again,
putting in my own head to bank on it.
I can see some weird little button at the end where Tori has a little bit of a redemption arc of sorts. And Daniel says, look, I got a friend who might be able to help you. And she also dealt with, you know, losing her parents early on too, just like we did, blah, blah, blah. But she also kind of help you deal with, you know, your anger and all that kind of shit. And then she rolls up to this house and Julie steps outside, and that's her setting her up for, you know, a new teacher to help her with her shit, right? That she can relate to and all. Maybe it's kind of like a weird little button, maybe. But at this point, it's like we've gone so far into things. I don't know where she comes into this now, unless it's to relate to Tori somehow, right? Because I'm glad she wasn't her mother. That was the one thing I was waiting. I was like, oh God, please don't let that be that, because
I didn't think that was going to happen one day.
And like that would be so stupid, and it just makes the world feel more boxed in.
Yeah, I didn't think that. Honestly, didn't cross my mind. Just like I didn't think the thing about Miyagi's mystery box, I didn't think that was going to be a thing. I mean, it could happen, but I didn't think anything of it being, oh, this is going to be a thing that's going to carry out and spawn off into a movie or a spin-off show. I thought, okay, maybe this is a thing that we're going to have some answers and some closure by the end of the show. But you did bring up that comment earlier about then this could be the bridging the gap between this and the Jackie Chan show. I mean,
I think it's going to be both. Actually, I think it's setting up. I think it's setting up a young Miyagi series, because they're going to have to add some things to it that we don't already know, right? So that's part of where this mystery box, I think, is going to come into play. And then yes, there's a Chinese connection, pun intended. Yeah. Chinese connection with the box, Miyagi, and you know Daniel dying to understand this mystery now, which will probably lead him to China at the end, which will set him up to meet Jackie Chan's character, and he may even play some role in this past. I mean, we may find out about a secret son, or we may find out about a secret brother. That's the thing, yeah. But you know, JM's like, for the love of God, no, Julie. Well, I think, see, the thing I love about this show, JM, and the reason why I kind of hope she shows up is this show has been really redemptive for a lot of characters, especially from part 3, for instance, like Terry Silver, who never got enough respect, in my opinion.
Dude, I liked him in Karate Kid 3. I thought he was great.
I like Karate Kid 3, but a lot of people disliked it enough to give him shit. And you know, Tori, I think, has a place in this universe. I think that there's a way, and she might have the part of the secret. That's the other way she can come in. You know, she might be able to come in and help give Daniel the missing pieces of the puzzle for Miyagi. Yeah, she might know more about him in that sense. And this is what I don't, because I don't hate the next Karate Kid as much as other people do. I think that the finale fucks it up. I think that they do not stick the landing. But the setup is sound. I like how Miyagi dealing with a girl is clearly a different situation. And not only that, she already knows karate. Her problem is she's fucking dangerous. Right? She's going to fucking kill somebody. So Miyagi needs to learn to temper her anger and channel and focus her aggression, right? Like that's her character. Well, that's what's different about her than Daniel. For Daniel, yeah, he was an aggressive little bastard, but he also just needed some discipline. That's all. Really, some discipline and focus. you know, and the karate was kind of more of a distraction at first than anything. Because really, like, we're learning in this, and that's the thing I love about this show, is how the life lessons that Daniel pulls out of it. And I love Johnny's interpretation of those life lessons.
Oh, dude.
I even made my own kata. Big circle. Big circle.
Dude,
the elbow to the face.
The box had me cracking up when I actually thought it was like a bomb. I actually thought it was a bomb. I'm like, oh no.
That was well constructed, actually.
Dude,
that was a pretty funny joke in a way. I mean, it kind of falls a little flat at the end because it feels like it almost feels kind of like Ralph Macchio wasn't as game as everybody else was, if that makes sense.
I could see why someone would interpret that, but this is at a point in his career where he has he takes the word of what Lawrence says, and he's gonna listen to him. So you know, when you have someone you're around and you have trust in, yeah, I could see.
Well, no, I just mean the acting at the end of that scene just came off a little.
You think so?
Like, yeah, like Ralph is like, you're gonna get one shot and that's it. And then I'm running, I'm going in the shower and getting this pink shit off me. Like, that's kind of the attitude it feels like he has. It's like seeping through a little bit. Could just be me though. Because I mean, Ralph's a solid actor. That scene just comes off a little like, you know what I mean? Just kind of like,
I got nothing
just
from
wants
that.
to rush it. Like Johnny his character handles it brilliantly. Like that part comes off real funny, but it just kind of little teeters at the end there, in my opinion. But yeah, Sander, I think Tori will probably end up with the Hilary Swank character at some point, because they have the most in common. They're very much alike. People haven't really seen the movie or remember the next Karate Kid. I get it, but yeah. And that's my point, JM. Terry Silver has been so well done in this show, and yeah, retroactively it helps the third film, and I think that could be the case if they brought in Julie correctly, but we're just getting to a point now where the likeliness is less and less and less and less. But Jesus Davila sends in a super sticker. It's a thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. We appreciate that. And dang, I was really hoping Script Doctor would pop in because I wanted to hear his thoughts on the show.
Really busy.
Yeah, or he's still finishing watching it. Maybe something. Probably.
Yeah, he could be. He could be in that position too. Yeah, folks,
and that's probably the case.
It's great. Watch it. Make up your own minds. You may disagree with the both of us. I still had tons of fun, and I'm looking forward to rewatching where this goes because I've loved the show for many years. Probably my favorite show that's come out in the last several years, so I can't wait to see what happens, especially come November. I am very anxious. Also, I really like what they're building with Quan. I feel like there's that character arc is really ripe with potential, and I'm curious to see where his character goes into the second and third half of the season as he's under Kreese's leadership. So I'm curious where that Quan kid, because there's something about him like, okay, this kid's got an edge to him, and he definitely makes you want to pay attention to what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was dealing with something there.
It's okay. It's okay.
Anyway, I think about wrapping this up soon anyway. But CC, did you have any questions about the show or anything else? Or any of you guys real quick want to fire in a question or super chat? Now's the time, because yeah, there really wasn't. I mean, there's the Warner Brothers news, but I hadn't really got a chance to check into it yet. It looks like the idea is they're going to split the company up a bit. And this is why, I mean, there may be some sales involved, but I doubt it. But I wonder if it's a sign that maybe they're going to make a move for Sony, and people aren't thinking about that. Because for them to be able to do some of the moves they'd have to make, they would have to split some certain things up. Because
go on.
Of the cable networks is the only thing I was talking about before. With they own a lot of the cable networks, and if they take Paramount's cable networks, that means they'll own more cable networks by far than any other entity. So I think that's part of their problem. So they're disconnecting their cable and television stuff from the studio, and then they've got some other part that they're setting up, and I don't know what that's necessarily going to be all about. But we'll have to see. So
they can own all the geriatric viewers who still watch
I
cable?
think that I don't know. I think this is something we're going to discuss tomorrow on the morning show, where we can maybe get Mikey and Andre's take on this more so, because I'm getting kind of shades of what happened to Paramount, but I think there's a reason behind this, and I don't think it's. And I saw this coming with like the firings they just had, or the layoffs they just had this week too, where some people are like, "Oh, it's a sign where Warner Brothers is going down in tubes." I'm like, I don't know, something's happening. I said something's changing, something's going to happen here. I said unless they're saving up some money for something, or they're going to make some moves. And if this is the case, it's kind of piling up to a point where, they're past the point where they can do certain things. So that's why they're doing this. And it also makes me wonder what they're setting themselves up for the future. So I got to dive into it a bit deeper. So that's why we didn't really get into it tonight as much as I wanted to. But last night's video that we just dropped today on the main channel, check it out, guys. It damn near killed me. It was a long ass video and very, very in depth. Head on over there. And also in the comments, when you do check it out, let Andre know if you want a video that's just about the Jack Black, Kyle Gass, Tenacious TDS stuff.
I watched all 30 minutes of your video today. So,
well, did you get the impression that I see some people getting in the chat that they feel like, because I think people are wrongly misunderstanding that Andre was making excuses for Jack Black.
Yes, I feel like there's a giant misunderstanding about the situation in general,
and that's why I think. And I told Andre, I said I think it might do us some good to actually do a video to explain the entire situation,
like an addendum type of thing. I think
kind of, but it's just more so like this is just what happened here, and this is why. And I told him, I said I think the difference would be to kind of frame it in a way that, this is actual consequences, right? When the left is always talking about, oh, it's not cancel culture. It's consequence culture. When somebody would lose their jobs over a fucking Trump
it's
tweet.
not even that they just lose their jobs. A lot of them straight up lose their careers.
That's what I mean. Like a lot of industry.
Shit. Jack Black can still probably do something in America right now.
Well, and I think that part that people are missing.
Go back to Australia down the line, and he, it's not like he's not going to be short of Kung Fu Panda movies and Bowser to be in as well, and Mario. Like he's still going to get work. And I'm sure in a few months it's going to blow over and Kyle Gass will be fine. I mean, those are guys who, let's just say they serve what people consider the quotation mark correct marching orders.
And again, you're still going off the idea that it's the fans or some portion of the fans that canceled them, right? And that's the other thing I'm going off of, like some other people.
Them. Nope.
And that's the thing is, I don't know when they're going to be able to get back together again, and that's probably why Jack put it the way he did. And and I also told Andre, or reminded Andre, I'm like, look, you got to remember, he didn't have some certain change, just a sudden change of heart. He's still a diehard lefty, and all the shit that you put in your video. I think I even told this on Mr. H's stream today, actually. But you got to look at this way, and we have some more confirmation now on this, that this is kind of the case. As soon as Kyle said that, their casualty insurance went through the roof. So do you guys now, Nick, you go to a lot of concerts, like there's been a lot of stuff that's happened in the last, 25 years where you've had, shootings, you've had accidents, incidents with fires and other things. So they now have what's called mass casualty insurance and you have to carry it as a band, or the venue has to carry it. One of the two, I can't remember which.
No, I don't know if that's an Australia thing or an America thing, or it's a.
I think it's both. I think it's just in general.
As it might be. Now, to be fair, I've not heard of something like that, and that could also be because I don't go to many like big shows anymore. If I do go to shows, it's gonna be shows where the capacity is usually made for 500, like. And once in a while there'll be a Judas Priest size show, so I don't know if maybe that could be like an
that's the thing. So like a show for like that big, the insurance would be huge because it's a much bigger theater. Now, granted, to this point, Tenacious D playing in the smaller venues that their insurance probably isn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, now that Kyle said this, what he has done now is made their insurance skyrocket because the chances of something happening at one of their shows now just went up astronomically. Right, so the insurance takes that into consideration, and they've basically priced themselves out of the market, is what they've done. So now it's more expensive for them to produce one of these shows because of that insurance than it is than what they make at the end of the day. So Jack probably did the numbers, or his people did the numbers, and realized that there's no way we can do this. As far as the Australia thing, I think they just canceled that and got the fuck up out of Dodge because they knew they were probably going to get deported. Because that's the other thing, you guys. He said this on stage in Australia, in another country. Because
I'm sticking with the Australia thing. They're pretty harsh over there.
Well, not just that. It's like it's a bad look. It's a very bad. It would have been bad enough if they said it in a U.S. theater, but I still think the results would have been the same as far as the insurance.
It also got a lot of public traction.
In U.S.,
I disagree on that point. I think the insurance would have still went up. See, this is an actual consequence of what he said, causing the insurance to skyrocket.
Mm-hmm.
That's my understanding.
That's a policy. I haven't heard that, but that doesn't mean because I haven't heard of it that it doesn't exist. It could just be.
Well, I think ever since that one Motley Crue show, it's been a requirement.
Which one?
The one where all those people got killed. Was it Motley Crue or was it Whitesnake? I'm thinking of. I could be thinking of.
You're not thinking of Dimebag from Pantera, are you? When he got shot on stage in 2004. Well,
there's that too. There's that too. But no, this is where a bunch of people got killed because of. They had fireworks in a venue that was too small. But because of that, ever since then, there were so many people that died in that event that they've required bands now to have this insurance.
I mean, it's also got to be said that these larger venues are monopolized. And that goes back decades at this point, right? But if you're playing venues of that size, there's an ownership group that owns your ass. And if they don't like what you said, they're going to cut you out.
Yeah, because the left doesn't give a shit about what he said. The right hasn't even really come out and said much about Jack Black other than just fuck. The right was already pissed at Jack Black for his fucking show when he showed up. Yeah, so like in that sense, that's what I was saying to people. Like, who's canceling them? They canceled themselves.
They did because
Kyle did it to himself, and then Jack threw him under the bus because Jack probably went, "What the fuck, Kyle?" You know, like, but he fucked it up for himself. And Script was right. It's the way he played it off. He shouldn't have laughed at it and said thank you. He should have actually used it as a moment to improv. And even if it had to get uncomfortable for Kyle, he still should have brought it back around to, yes, at the end of the day, though, it's still, we don't condone any sort of violence, political or otherwise, And then I don't think it'd have been a problem. The other problem, though, is he did it on a stage in a foreign fucking country. And I don't think people are thinking of the ramifications of that. It doesn't matter if he was joking or not.
No. And okay, so because I don't know if context does or does not matter in Australia, but I've heard a lot of people, in our sphere and even out of our sphere, thinking that it was a joke. I don't agree with any of them. I think what Gas said was absolutely how he felt. I mean, I know how these guys think on the public scale. They are very apparent about their feelings with those things. It'd be one thing if they came out of nowhere and I'm like, oh, okay, that's odd comment, but whatever. I move on. But knowing what I know, I see it as that's how they genuinely feel. They weren't screwing around. He genuinely felt that way. He was being honest, which is fine. I'd rather have people like that be honest and tell me how I feel, so I know not to associate with them. But that's not a joke, and I think that's one of the biggest misunderstandings amongst 800 misunderstandings about this. This was not a joke.
I think JB is a little bitch for what he did, but I understand it. It's from a business standpoint, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to give him much leeway though, because he still believes this shit. He agrees with it. He didn't say anything on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
He had a perfect opportunity, like Script said. He could have been like, Kyle, if you tell everybody what your wish is, it won't come true, and shit like that. And then he could have.
Oh, that would have been a good way of playing it off. He
could have went into a serious conversation about it, or at least said something serious about it at that point. And then it probably would have moved along, and we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Now, I don't know if I think it still would have affected his insurance. And that's where I don't agree with you I agree with you that he wouldn't have gotten any flack, because I don't think they've really gotten all that much flack if you just said it in the US too. But the difference is I still think it would have made their insurance skyrocket.
Maybe I won't. Hey, I won't deny that possibly being true, because once again, I admit that I'm ignorant to how that stuff works.
Because they canceled the whole tour, not just Australia. Yeah. They canceled the whole fucking thing.
Yeah.
And that tells me that they're probably responsible for that insurance or half of the insurance. I don't know how it works, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I mean, right now we're in a space where, the 50-year-old woman at Home Depot is getting fired for saying the same thing. Whether or not she should, it's happening. And I don't like the comments, but people, like regular people, are getting fired from their regular minimum
that happened to the
wage
left.
jobs.
That happened on the right though, when they were just supporting Trump though. CC, that's
and like I had a woman of my own. All right, this is like 15 years ago. I was in college, and you remember there was this Olympics, right, where this loser died. He went off the track and he died. It was a tragedy, and I made the kind of dumb move of posting a meme the day after it, or and I can't remember the exact words of the meme, but it was like a CSI Miami meme, where it's like investigating the loser's death, and it's like pulls off the sunglasses, and it was I made light of it, and I got in serious trouble for posting that meme. Let me tell you, like I got called to the administrator's office for it. Whether or not I should have, I did it the day after there was a very sensitive situation. Right, it was like too soon. So I mean, I have to feel like that plays into it too.
Let me be clear. I don't think anybody should lose their jobs over saying something stupid like that. Is it stupid? Yes. But if you're in a position where you do cause a situation like that, like Kyle did, then that's actual consequence, right? You can't get around that. Somebody saying, oh, I support Trump, it's not hurting anybody. But a lot of people lost their jobs, or not only that, or they said, I refuse to get the jab, or I refuse to do this, or I refuse to do that. They lost their job or were ostracized over that shit. That hurt nobody but themselves, if anything, right? Here you got a situation where Kyle basically hurt the entire band, the entire tour, probably Jack Black's image, even though, like I said already, was tarnished enough. But in that sense, this is an actual consequence. So, like, I don't think an average Joe, if they're dumb enough to make a, like, that's one thing I do kind of got to agree with, like, where's you're coming from, CC. Like, I don't like seeing, I think End Wokeness is the one who's doing most of it. And again, I'm not trying to shit on them. I'm just saying, like, this whole sharing of just everyday people saying this stuff and sharing where they work and all that stuff, that to me is stepping over a line.
The only thing I could see where there's a warrant of exposing it is, let's just say if there was like a certain pedo type of thing going on. You want to know who those types of people are, right. If there's a robber. But if it's just someone having an offhanded comment, yeah, you really shouldn't expose that.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're a celebrity
there's just people who are being morons during their day-to-day, and people at the end of the day are still allowed to be morons, even if you hate it.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're a celebrity or a politician, I don't think you should necessarily lose your job over that, unless it's a situation like with Kyle, where you could cause a disturbance in a lot of things. Right, like
I didn't like seeing people put a hit out on Grums. I may not agree with everything he says all the time. But nobody should be putting a hit out on X on people just like because they disagree with him, right?
I don't know if you wanted to repeat what you had said before, because I think I did actually.
No, what I was saying, I don't think your regular average Joe at your corner store should be getting fired for this comment. If they put out if they start posting on X, I'll pay $10,000 to whoever wants to, embark upon this action. That's not good. I don't want to see that happen, right?
Joke or not, that's not a smart thing to do. That's borderline against the law, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so I mean, I understand with this situation when somebody makes a dumb offhand comment about not missing next time. That's pretty close to the same thing, but it's also, I mean, like, it's also not quite the same thing. It's more akin to Mark Hamill making.
Yeah, I don't think some chick who works at the grocery store or some guy who works at some factory should be fired for saying Trump missed. Sad you missed Trump.
Agreed.
And we discussed that Tenacious D has a history of dumb shit on stage. It is their brand.
Yes and no. See, and the thing is this is what kind of drove me nuts yesterday about Script on the show, is he kept saying it's their brand, it's their brand. It's like, yes, but their brand has never been political. They have never done political humor. And all of a sudden now they have. That's my issue too with that. Now, if you want to get me to that point, that's where I get on their case about the whole woke bullshit business with Jack Black. It's like, I could give a fuck less who he votes for, as long as you don't bring it on the show. And he didn't before that. I don't remember any Bush jokes. I don't remember. And please, somebody point me out to them if you remember. But I've got the entire Tenacious D video catalog sitting right next to me here. So, and I have all their albums. So, and I don't remember them ever getting that political or talking political. It was always just, like I called it, frat boy, stoner boy humor. That's what Tenacious D is. They're the guys who think they got a bigger band than they really are. So they became their own joke. Right.
I was looking at the Alice Cooper song the other day too, Elected. And like some of their live cuts, they have people coming out in like costumes.
Cool song. It's a cool Alice Cooper song. I like that song.
So that works, right? And that is to say, I do think if someone makes this dumb comment right now, then their friend should say, "Hey, dude, you're being stupid. You're being a dumbass. Stop." Right? That I'm all for that.
Well, that's different than being somebody who's like in an arena full of people.
Yeah. And I mean, look, we were covering this a couple weeks ago about Taylor Swift making stupid comments in her song too, right?
She's allowed to, even if I hate it. And I hate a lot of what she says, on any day ending in one, but she's still allowed to make it, especially if you're going to her shows. You know what you're getting for paying for them.
I mean, I think part of finding a sensible center is you don't have to cancel an entire tour over this. You might want to address it.
I don't think that may have been their. That may have.
That's
not been
my point. That's my whole point. I was getting to
Jack
CC.
Black's folks. I don't think that's Jack Black's fault.
That's my whole point.
The insurance issue.
That's exactly what I was getting at.
Yeah, everyone involved here is powerful enough. Like, if Tenacious D's group and Jack Black.
Yes and no. I mean, like I was saying, they're not Metallica. They're not some big band where they can weather this.
Well, but that's where I also came back to the point.
Now. Yeah.
Do you think that the owners of Ticketmaster are the kind of people who would, really be pressured to act against this?
They may not have a choice. It depends. Like that's my point. Is like I don't exactly know all the ins and outs of the insurance, but there was this one guy who posted a very lengthy explanation of all this stuff. And then I believe it was Deadline or Hollywood Report or somebody, correct me, either one, who actually backed some of this up in their version of it. But I don't even think they referred to the other one. But that's kind of what spawned Andre today for us to write. We're probably going to do a follow up to it because I told him I said I think people are misinterpreting what you're saying about the Jack Black situation, because I mean it's pretty clear what happened. I mean, especially now that we got more confirmation on that, because that makes more sense than anything. Because look, Jack is going to stand by his friend no matter what, but Kyle also got fired by his agency that day, so you got to remember that. And Kyle only has one source of real income. No, this is what I think that was, Nick. He only has one source of major income. That's Tenacious D. If they don't have any money coming in from Tenacious D, then they have no use for Kyle Gass. And that's where Jack Black could have saved his ass. Because they probably have the same agency. Because he probably could have stood in and said, look, if you get rid of him, I'm gone too. And I doubt he was in that position to even do that. Jack cowered like a little pussy, regardless of however it works out. I get it from a business standpoint. Honestly, if I was in Jack's shoes, I wouldn't have handled it this way first and foremost. But if I was in Jack's shoes, I would say, yes, I understand why he made this business decision. Because he has the Jack Black brand and he has the Tenacious D brand.
Yes.
And guess what? The Jack Black brand is worth a hell of a fucking lot more than the Tenacious D brand. And right now, Kyle just made the Tenacious D brand a liability. So because of that, we seen what happened. That was, guess what, buddy? I love you, but I got to cut ties. Because right now you're costing me more than I can afford. And not only that, Jack was on yet another upswing in a plateau in his career. And now that might come to a dead fucking halt because of this.
Jack will be fine. If he will
probably be fine, but
if it gets to a point where Jack is completely blacklisted,
he didn't react this way just because of certain things, though. That's my point.
He acted this way because he got caught. That's not.
Well, that's part of it. But what I'm saying is he might have got some phone calls saying, yeah, we can't have you being a part of this, this, and that, and the other if you're going to continue to do this Tenacious D thing with this guy. It's just too bad of a look or something like that. I could see that being something that happened.
It could be. It could be. If Jack gets to a point where he's completely blacklisted from the industry and he can't get any work on a mainstream level, I would actually concede, well, that definitely looks like someone who...
No, he'll be fine.
He will be fine.
He'll be fine.
But all I'm trying to get is that I would concede that would be one if that happened.
Tenacious D won't be fine, though. That's my point, right? He has had to learn. He's got to lop off that limb. Like him saying what he said in that tweet or the Insta Tick thing that he put out. That is him throwing Kyle under the bus and saying, this is it.
Yeah, I don't like that he did that to Kyle. Granted, that was Kyle's comment. It just makes it look like
as the song said that they wrote, as long as there's a record contract, they'll be friends. That's actually one of their fucking songs.
Yeah. We'll find out now, I guess. Boy, I tell you, man.
Yeah, and I hate it too because I was a big fan of theirs, but yeah.
Just, I'm of the mindset either everyone gets to speak on politics or no one does. It's absolutely, and granted, I prefer it neither happen, but if it's going to happen, let it be like the UFC where everyone gets to have it. Everyone has a say. Like there are some guys in Dana White's organization who are, let's just say, hardcore BLM types, but he obviously has guys like Jorge Masvidal who are major like Trump fans. So at least once again, at least that is there with the UFC. And unfortunately, most companies are not like the UFC. Most companies want it one way, and they'll pretend that it isn't one way. They'll lie about it being one way, saying that's not one way, but it actually is. But whereas UFC actually does have it both ways.
I'll take another approach here. When you have certain artists, like David Bowie had a rotating cast of band members throughout his career, and he was always David Bowie, right? And I'll even go one step further here, and maybe in a more complex matter, Black Sabbath. And you'll have people who will argue that Black Sabbath was only Black Sabbath with the whole band, or only with Ozzy. And then you have people who respect that Ronnie James Dio was also, in that lineup, was also Black Sabbath. And I'll go so far as to say that the Tony Martin era lineups were also Black Sabbath. That's my opinion. Not everyone will agree with that. Now you have a situation here where, Kyle Gass, 1994 to present, right? He's been a part of this group for a very long time. Do you consider him to be so much a part of the group that it's not Tenacious D without him? And is this, there's a lot of artists, any group that you're a fan of, you could probably think of one, right? Where it's this reasons that people break apart. Does this signify the end of Tenacious D? Is this, is this worth that?
I don't think it's the very end, but I think it is the end for a while.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they will get together eventually. The things will die down. They will get to a point where, the heat will die down. And Six might be even being a bit facetious here, but if she's being honest, like I agree with her. Like this is part of the problem right here. Exactly this. He's afraid that fans are going to go out and try to make the guy's birthday wish come true. It's not just him though. If that's the case, I don't know about him so much, but that's what the insurance companies, part of their concern is now. See, that's the thing these celebrities don't realize is they talk about their influence all the damn time till it actually hits them in the face because their influence is now a consequence or has consequences, right? Because Kyle and Jack are big enough and influential enough that somebody could take it seriously. Like you were bringing up earlier, the jokes about the putting a hit out on somebody. Well, there's a reason why that's pretty much against the law, whether it's a joke or not, because that kind of inciting can actually cause somebody to take you seriously. And once you do, it becomes a crime. Or it fucks somebody's day up real bad. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm absolutely with you. They have to deal with it.
You're not being fascist.
But
how would she be being a fascist? I don't see where she said anything.
I think she meant facetious, but
oh, okay. I'm sorry. I just read.
Yeah, I thought you were being serious, but I just wanted to give you the
Okay.
benefit of the doubt that maybe you were kind of, or saying that Jack was just doing it himself for that reason. But no, I think it's a serious problem now. And as silly as it may sound to some people, that is one of the big reasons why their insurance just went up. Because now the insurance has a reason to believe that event could happen, or something like that could happen, or something could pop off. Now the chances of that happening went up astronomically over Kyle saying something stupid.
I like that comment in the chat by Nav. I didn't know Madonna said that, but that's interesting context if she did. Apparently, I don't know if it's true.
What?
But Nav was just saying Madonna said that she'd blow up the White House or something.
Oh wow!
I remember that comment.
There's been a lot of stupid comments on stage over the years.
A lot of these people were saying stuff like this, and I probably can't say maybe even worse than Black for years. It's odd that it only took for something like this to actually happen, and now people cared about comments like this.
Pretty much.
Because there have been people like, if you look at, and I'm not to, I hate dragging an actual politician, but if you look in 2020, there was what's that lady's name, Maxine Waters. She was saying if you see a congressman going about their day shopping, go go after them, go bug them, do not let up, do not leave them alone. I mean, she was being very direct. And if people don't believe me,
basically telling you to harass somebody.
I have it saved on my bookmarks on Twitter.
Yeah,
I will post that clip for everyone to see. I never got rid of that. So.
And yeah, Trump has said some really stupid shit too in the past, but I've noticed he's really
for the vax.
He's really cooled off quite a bit. And I think after this last weekend, he's really gonna be careful of how he says things too, because I think he's gonna be aware of it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
We'll see.
There are some things he said that was like, okay, that was retarded. But there are some things like that got also taken really out of context as well.
Oh, yeah.
When his hyperbolic statement, he does make a lot of hyperbolic statements that.
Yeah. If you tell people to drink bleach, it's possible some people might actually do it. I would say that and think nobody's done enough.
But that's not his responsibility. That's not his responsibility.
I would say it's not. But I understand.
You know what? All it takes is one motherfucker to do it. Yes. That's what CC's saying.
Somebody's going to do it.
All it takes is one motherfucker to be stupid enough to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes he's a liability. Like, that's the thing. I'll be honest with you. I agree. Trump's lucky that nobody interpreted it that way and actually fucking did it.
Are we sure nobody did it, or we just didn't find out?
Well, the problem is there are people. The other argument you have is you got how many TikTokers that'll do it just for a fucking TikTok trend.
Yep.
So that's the other problem.
Yeah, TikTok is filling emergency rooms on the regular.
Right? No shit. But I agree with Six. Every politician at the end of the day is an asshole. And thank you for the $6 or the $5 super chat, Six. It is somebody doing the boss thing. Look at that. Then we got.
I'm with you, Nav, but drinking bleach probably would kill you.
Yeah, it would definitely kill you. Do not do that. I actually know somebody who committed the big S doing that. Unfortunately, this was way years ago. But anyway, Zombie Box Reviews sends in £2 super sticker, and it's a little Shiba dog giving a number 1 or a thumbs up. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate the support, guys. You guys help make this show happen. And thanks, guys, for sticking in here with the low numbers and the spoilers and all that kind of stuff. We can probably take that off screen now, I suppose. Because, I think we're going to wrap this up now. I want to thank y'all for being here. Nick and CC, thanks for popping in. And Price, of course, as well.
Pleasure.
Is there going to be a show this week, CC? I thought you said something about maybe not this week. I can't remember now.
I have no idea what my internet's going to look like on Friday.
Right, okay.
So I'm just going to say it's not happening. And I'll message you on the day,
maybe
early afternoon. If it happens, I'll definitely let you know. And if it doesn't, I'll still let you know.
No worries if not. I understand. And Nick, you got anything coming up you want to plug before we go?
Well, Klobby's Comic Shop tomorrow night, Friday night, of course, as per usual. And I'll be on Thursday Night Throwdown in less than an hour. And when you guys see me here next week, I will have seen Deadpool and Wolverine. And yes, Tom, I actually made sure to get a ticket early, so when
I'm going to try to see it too. The show might be. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, the show might be a little late that day because my earliest showing I could get to was 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on how long the movie is and my drive back,
2 hours. It's 2 hours.
Yeah, so all that bit. Well, plus whatever they throw on for friggin' trailers and shit.
Yeah, probably 15-20 minutes. But
so
you'll have thoughts from us next week.
So the show will definitely be at least an hour late. That I know, because my show technically wouldn't even start till almost 4. Then I got to drive an hour. So yeah, the show will just be getting over probably when we normally would start this show. So I'm going to need at least an hour probably to get home, if that makes sense. So yes, look forward to next Thursday being a little bit later, guys. Just a heads up. But yeah, so thanks so much, guys. And actually, yes, somebody asked about streams tonight. Nick's going to be on TNT. I might pop in there later if I still got some gas left in me. But I am actually, heading over to Yellow Flash's impromptu RNC stream. So for those who are interested, following me over there.
I'll probably go watch TNT because I want to.
Yeah, otherwise, TNT will be coming up at 9 o'clock, and I might pop in there if I still have some gas if we get out of there in time. So we'll see. Thanks so much, guys, for being here. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Until next time. Thanks for being here, Meat Chat. We appreciate you.
How dare you?
Excuse me, ma'am. No porn at the bar.
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh, I had no idea.